Hi people, this is me Arunangshu. Today I would like to take the time and opportunity which Vedantu has been really kind to give me to talk about one of our many unsung heroes of our glorious past. The person I'm going to talk about today is the founder of Azad Hind Fauj. He's a true specimen of sheer bravery. He's from Bengal. Of course, I'm going to talk about none other than Subhash Chandra Bose. People in 1956, the former British Prime Minister Clement Attlee, when he visited India, the then governor of Bengal asked him a very important question. He asked that when the Quit India movement ended in 1942, there were no significant freedom movements after that. So, in spite of having the opportunity to rule India, why did the British leave? To which Clementon said that the movement that Netaji created, the patriotism, the rage that he induced in the people, is what made the British leave India. And the non-cooperation movement and the satyagraha that Gandhiji started, he referred it as minimal. And this one single statement alone is enough to question the entire curriculum that is being taught in our school textbooks, the entire version of history that is being taught in our schools. People, as much as we recognize and acknowledge the contribution of Satyagraha and non-cooperation movement, I feel we should also recognize and acknowledge and show our gratitude towards the immense efforts of Netaji and the Azad Hind Fauj. And the video which you are watching right now is my contribution and my effort to remind everyone about Subhash Chandra Bose and his immense sacrifices and effort. People, I don't know if this is done deliberately or it's just a pure coincidence that many of Subhash Chandra Bose's stories are removed from our school textbooks. I don't know why they are not teaching this part of our history. So I hope this video brings value to you. Brace yourself people, because this legendary story is going to begin. And of course, the beginning is when Netaji was born in 1897. People, in 1897, talking about India's condition, India was starving to death due to extreme poverty. There were only a few handful of families that could afford good food and living. And fortunately, Netaji's family was one of them. People, ever since his childhood, Netaji was seeing all the atrocities and all the problems that Britishers were causing in India. The rage, the patriotism brewed from then on. People, Netaji noticed that Britishers came to our own motherland and had the audacity to torture us. This brewed the anger and rebellious feelings inside him ever since his childhood. His patriotism kept on growing. One such instant where we see Netaji's immense patriotism is when he cleared the Indian civil exam with just 6 months of preparation. Mind you, this exam was one of the toughest exams at that time. But as soon as he was offered the job, he just rejected the job offer and returned back to India. People, this marked the beginning of his freedom struggle. And when he came back to India, he joined the Congress with Gandhiji, and in no time he got very famous and very influential. As time passed, Netaji quickly realized that his and Gandhiji's ideologies of freedom are very different. So eventually he went on to quit Congress and leave as a lone wolf to find another way to free India. And this is how Netaji's historic journey starts. He visited many countries and tried to create an international bond. He visited Afghanistan, Germany, and Japan, to name a few. He tried to unite these countries against British colonial Raj. He eventually went ahead to form the Azad Hind Fauj. Yes, the famous Azad Hind Fauj. This is the bullet that Netaji would fire. Unfortunately, the Fauj eventually lost motivation in the process, and this is where Netaji came in. Netaji started delivering motivational speech and tried to instill the lost patriotism in the soldiers. And yes, he was successful in doing that. He sat with the soldiers, he ate with the soldiers, and he gave a sense of belonging to them. And this really ignited the lost motivation and the lost patriotism in the soldiers. He really did motivate these soldiers to free Bharat Mata from the British colonial Raj. This is when, in one of his most iconic speeches, Netaji uttered the words that will echo through the tunnels of time forever. He said, "Tum mujhe khoon do, main tumhe azadi dunga." Now the soldiers are all pumped up, all raised up to fight with the British army. With a strength of 40,000 soldiers, they were ready to fight. Very unfortunately though, the Azad Hind Fauj was defeated in the first war in Impal. And to make matters even worse, news came that Netaji had died in a plane crash. While the nation was mourning about his death, something really crazy was about to happen. At this point, nobody in India knew about the international army that was created by Netaji and the fact that they are coming to India not to fight for the Japanese but for the freedom of India herself. Eventually, the Red Fort trial happened in 1945. What followed was a big catastrophe for Britishers. Because this is when Indians came to know about the Azad Hind Fauj and the fact that Netaji had formed this army for the freedom of India. Eventually, everyone started revolting and some even started beating up the Britishers on the street. And this was because the Britishers very cunningly censored the press. Because they knew for a fact that if Indians came to know that an entire army is coming for their help, these 25 lakh soldiers will surely revolt and the rebellion will go out of control. Eventually, the Red Fort trial happened in 1947. What followed next was a big catastrophe, which was beyond Britishers' imagination. Because of this Red Fort trial, people came to know about the Azad Hind Fauj and the fact that Netaji has formed this Fauj for the freedom of India. Due to this, everyone started revolting against the Britishers. Thousands started marching on the streets with Netaji's photos. Some even started beating up the British officials. Everyone was collectively revolting against the Britishers. This event is also known as the Naval Mutiny of 1947. Now, the Britishers had no option but to retract, and hence, what followed was our independence. The independence of our motherland, India. This is the story that I wanted to share with all of you.